Hello people, hello, thanks for joining us. This is a special podcast. Today I'm joined by a guy called Alan Atherton from ASA Fire Safety. We're going to talk all about safety, fire.
Hey.
And as always, you're tuned into
The Duggystone Show.
Oh yeah.
The Duggystone Show.
Yeah, so stay tuned for this show. Sit back, relax and enjoy it. Don't panic too much, we're here to help you. Alan's going to take us through some things that he does in his business, he provides, what you can look out for now in your business, and then obviously if you need to get hold of him, then get hold of him, because he's an expert in the field. And he's a good guy as well, known him for some time. So anyway, let's get on with the show. Good morning, Alan.
Good morning, Kirk.
How you doing, mate?
Very well, thank you. Nice to be here this morning.
Yeah, it's good. So
Talk about fire safety.
yeah, we've just done a live radio show, haven't we? So
Yeah, we have, yeah.
That was an experience, so that's what we
It
do.
was.
That's what we do at Duggystone Radio. And you've come along today, and you've because obviously I've got a lot of equipment, expensive equipment, all running on electricity, like everything does.
Yeah.
And we had a bit of a chat, and you went, "You might need a fire extinguisher." And I thought,
Yes.
do you know what? It's something that I'd overlooked.
Yeah.
And
And that can be a common theme with a lot of people. They don't think to realise they're too busy running the business and getting things
Yes.
sorted out that they forget about something like that, or they don't really realise that they need to maybe cover something like that, because it's not your first thought, is it?
No. And I think because of me, because it was just there's generally only me here, and I know I'm in a studio that's at home, and got a studio, but in my mindset it's just me. But then I've started to bring guests in, like yourselves, or the people have been coming along, and it's like, hang on a minute, this is. I've got to look at this. This doesn't make. I've got to be careful what I'm doing. I've got to make sure that I'm covered from a legal aspect, a safety aspect, and just generally looking after what I've got, my equipment. So that's what got me thinking was actually, yeah, I need to do something.
Well, this is the thing is that sort of today you would be responsible for my safety while I'm here in the radio station. So yeah, it's getting that thought into your head and thinking, hang on, what do I do? Because basically you're going to have, we've got an extinguisher cover for electrical rips, which is mainly the thing we've got to cover. But the point is then you've got to look at, if there is a fire, how are we going to get out? Where are we going to get out?
Yeah.
And what procedure you, for your radio station, will put down. And it might be worth documenting it and putting it down and saying, this is what I'm going to do.
I think you're right, because I know people obviously can't see where we are, but we've got two exit routes currently. One's behind you, and one's the way you came in. So that's our exit route, really. It's
it's just, I know it's basically small, very sort of obvious, but the point is it might be as well to just write it down so you know yourself fixed that this is what I'm planning to. By the way, before we start, if anything does go wrong, we're going to go out there quick.
Yeah,
it's just things like that. So it's just getting principles and policies and various other things put in place. And if you run your business from your shed, don't think you don't need extinguishers. You may not, but the point is it might be worth looking at just to initially stop anything from going too far and maybe destroying what was your business in your garden because you didn't have an extinguisher to squirt at something to put something out, and maybe save what you've put all your time and money to disappearing in a puff of smoke.
Yeah, because I'm just using me as an example because that's what I can refer to. So a lot of our stuff is maybe, our radio station goes out online so I can access from somewhere else. But that if I didn't have I'd have to find another computer to use. I'd have to, I've got a lot of music. I've got me mixer. So I can't do the same thing I'm doing now. Do you know what I mean? I'd be
So you've got to think about, if I lose some of these, how long would I be off? And do I have the funds to replace them? Are they insured? It's the disruption that you might be off for a couple of weeks because it might be something you've got to order and have made up. So it really depends.
Yeah, and especially
so it's just have that thought in the back of your mind, thinking, what would I lose if I lost all this? And basically, a lot of times, even if it's in the shed, or if it's just a rented office, or if it's a building you have, you could lose a whole lot if you haven't got things in place to try and reduce that risk from happening
Yeah.
to you and to your business and to the people who may work for you. So that's what it's about, really.
Yeah. So let's. Well, I know we've covered some of it right, but we're repeating ourselves. But I think it's good to do it. So, as an example, if someone rang you today and went, Alan, can you come and look at my business? What's the sort of things you offer, and what do you actually do when you go to someone's premise?
Oh, okay. Say somebody come along and said, "Yeah, I've got this new offices. I've had a look at my fire risk assessment and it's an old one." And so basically the bottom line is I'll go along and do a survey of that premises and highlight and say to them, if you want me to do a fire risk assessment, it's going to take us this long because you're physically this size. We'll put all these details in and we'll put recommendations together for you to say you need to address all these items to put in place to make sure that you're meeting a fire risk assessment. And if a fire officer came up, he'll hopefully look at it and say, "Oh, yeah, great stuff. Thank you very much. I'll be on my way." So that covers all things from the extinguisher risk you may have in your workplace. Do you need a fire alarm? Do you need emergency lightings? Do you know what your escape routes are? Do you have them well lit for the emergency lighting? Do you have the correct signage to take people out of the building? What do you do if there is a fire? So it encompasses an awful lot. And it's not just sort of basic stuff like that. For instance, if you've got a building, I'd need to have a look around, and for instance, you've got cables running through various walls, then are they fire stopped correctly? No, it's not just that. It's a lot of other things that gets involved.
That makes sense. I never even thought about that because
you've got to stop the fire spread. So that means have you got fire doors?
If you've got a hole with a wire coming through and there's a fire, you might have a massive fire door on there, and the wall might be all insulated. But if you've got that hole, fire will find its way. Water will find its way through, won't it?
Exactly. So and do you have fire doors to compartmentalise your building?
Yeah,
because that's what they're there for. It's just to stop the spread of fire.
Yeah, don't keep them open with a fire extinguisher.
Now, if you're going to do them, put them on door holder magnets linked to the fire alarm.
They're good, them, aren't they?
Or you can, if you haven't got a fire alarm, you can put what they call the fire guard in, fire door sort of unit, and you fix it to the bottom of your door. And in the event of an alarm, it goes off and automatically shuts the door. So there's various. Oh yeah. Door guard, that's what it's called, a door guard.
And it doesn't have to be really expensive, does it? You know,
no.
For me, I'm in here now. You've come along and assessed it and said you probably just need the one fire extinguisher for electrical. You know, what does that sort of cost someone for like one fire extinguisher? It's not that expensive, is it really?
You're talking something like that. CO2 is about 50 quid.
Yeah. Yeah, so
you know, and there's a sign to go with it. So it's not a huge amount of money. And obviously that'll include the fitting, the sign sticking up, and a quick idea of how you use them. Because there are many places I've been to, and it's maybe only one or two extinguishers in it. That's fine. But I'll have a quick look around and say, you can really do with keeping an eye on that, or move this there and do this. If you're a small business owner, it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
It depends who you use and what, their attitude is. Mine is just, let's give you what you need and no more.
Yeah.
And then just make sure if you've got any problems and you need to ask a few questions, just ask.
Yeah,
I'll happily answer them for you.
And I trust you because I know a lot of people that have used you before, and I know you anyway, and that's why obviously you get some people that come in and go, oh, you need in this you'll need a couple in each room, and get CO2, and you probably want a water one for that because you've got paperwork and you've got this, that, and the other. It's like, hang on a minute, a lot of people out there just out for their own gains, aren't they?
Yeah,
and I know you're not like that, which is why I wanted you on the to come.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Like I say, I'll go into a place and we just look at basically what's the risk, what do you do? If it's just offices and it's, like photocopiers, PCs and things like that, we look at what they call the A risk, which is water, foam. How many of those do you need? And then we look at the electrical risk, and from there we put the signage up. What's your escape route? We'll follow you out. If you've got a fire alarm and it's part of a bigger system, then I would suggest that would be your landlord would be responsible for doing the fire tests.
Yeah.
But you may need to put some emergency lighting if it's not in, so that may be down to you. But the thing is, if I do fire risk assessment in your little office, it will be relevant to you and you're part of it. After that, I would suggest you would send it to your landlord saying, we've done this, can I see a copy of yours? Because I want to know what you're going to do.
Oh yeah.
For my, so it's quite complicated. It's not complicated, but there's a process you need to go through to make sure that, okay, you're doing your bit, but is the landlord doing his?
Yeah, true, because you know, we just take it for granted that people are doing what they're supposed to do, and obviously there's been a lot of issues, not just on fire, but with carbon monoxide coming from heating systems and boilers.
Correct, yeah.
A lot of people dying from that, and that's why some of these regulations are in, aren't they?
It is, yeah. And as I say, unfortunately, because of Grenfell, there's going to be a lot more changes of what's going to happen, because it was what they called a passive fire system, i.e. that you're supposed to have fire doors on each flat,
Yeah.
a fire alarm through the building, and ideally some form of warning of the fire alarm or detected in each one of those. Fire doors are closed, compartmentalises the building, so basically, ideally, you should be able to stay in your flat until the fire's put out and then you can evacuate.
Yeah.
Obviously, it didn't work, because obviously there must have been problems within that building. But that's the idea, so that may change in the future, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've had, since then, quite a few people asking me. I've had people who have rent flats out in buildings, and the people who may do the management for the buildings are coming to them saying, can you confirm that your fire doors into the flats are fire doors, and that they've got half-hour smoking and strips seals on?
Yeah.
And they come back and say, what do I do? I said, well, you've got to make sure it's a fire door, and if it isn't, you've got to make it, you'll have to put one in, because again, same principle, people living in a flat behind that, you've got to be able to do that.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's human. Yeah, we talk about equipment I did before, but that's can be replaced. You know, it's an inconvenience. It could damage what I'm doing, but at the end of the day, it's money. I can buy if you've got the funds, you can buy more. But if someone dies, or your family member dies, or something like that, or someone that's renting a property off you,
correct,
then that's pretty bad, and no one wants that on the conscience.
Yeah. No, that's true. It's not, and that's why a lot of these things now are beginning to become more and more prevalent. And if you're not sure, ask. Simple as that. Just ask. What do we do?
Like someone like you, I'd recommend Alan within a heartbeat. So we might mention at the start, where can people get hold of you, Alan, just so we'll power through?
Right, well, basically, I have a website. It's www.asafire.co.uk, or you can actually email me on alan@asafiresafety.co.uk.
Good.
So, if you want any help, just shout. Quite happy to do that for you.
Yeah, I just thought we'd get that in part way through, so people don't forget. We can mention it at the end.
Yeah.
So, what else do people look? What else do you do for people? Because we talked about high occupancy, flats that people.
Oh yeah. Houses of multi-occupancy.
That's it. That's the one.
HMO. I do. I do work with them as well. I do fire risk assessments for those, and if necessary, if they want kit, I can provide kit, signage, various other things. But same principle. Just make sure it's correct what they've got in place. Because if you're renting out 4 or 5 rooms to somebody, you're responsible for them.
Yeah.
I do a fire risk assessment. I'm going to put recommendations in. Now, I'm strongly recommending that I suggest you do these things. Now, if you don't do them, something goes wrong, I'll just say, well, I recommended this.
Yeah.
I can't make them do it, but I suggest they do. It will then maybe go back to whoever owns the building, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
They may be responsible because they didn't put in place what it was suggested they put in place. So it can get a bit messy,
and especially with recent events, and we'll keep talking about Grenfell Towers because that was a tragic incident there. But the likelihood if something goes wrong, the authorities like the fire officers and the courts are going to be quite. They'll probably bring out more severe sentencing as a result, won't they?
Yes. Well, we're waiting to see what the outcome's going to be with Grenfell, aren't we? Because there's sorts of corporate manslaughter.
Yeah, but what I mean by that is, so what that'll be almost like a test case.
It will, yes.
Yeah. So Joe Bloggs, who's got high occupancy building down the road, something happens and people unfortunately die, hopefully, you know what I mean, then they're going to, in light of what's happened, and we're now aware of these issues and this new policies and all the rest of the likelihood is they're going to come down quite a lot harder than they potentially would have done. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're still getting cases where people are not doing what they should be doing, and unfortunately, a lot of the time, it might be the fact that the first thought they're having is, "Ooh, I'm making a lot of money out of this. Do I really need to do this? I think I'll get away with this and see what happens." You can't stop people like that doing those type of things. All we can try and do is educate people to say, "This is what you should be doing."
Yeah, and if you're in doubt and you're a tenant of them, then you obviously need to question that as well and see what reaction you get.
Correct. Yeah. Ideally, that's what you should be doing. Yeah. So HMOs, holiday.
Holiday.
I've done a few of them this year and last year, and just if you own a rental property, just make sure you've got the basic cover as a detector on top of the landing, maybe one downstairs, and a carbon monoxide detector, depending on what levels you've got, and just make sure that when you do let out, it all works, and maybe once a year clean them and have them tested. And that's basically, and that doesn't mean just pressing it to make, that's a battery function. Actually get somebody to smoke test them.
Oh yeah.
And that will prove that they do work in the event of a fire. So it's I know it seems you have to do that. Well,
I know someone who does that, and he does it on, I forget who it was, I heard it ages ago. It's because you're like, once a year, when is that once a year? And he actually does it on his birthday. So his birthday checks all this smoke. Not the last thing you probably want to be checking on your birthday. You won't be having a few beers.
But
party.
It flags up when you're supposed to be doing
it's
it.
my birthday, or a time in the year that is a significant that you go, oh, okay, yeah. And it might even be the end of the tax year or whatever.
Yeah. I just say to people, stick it in your diary to flag up.
Yeah, especially with smartphones, you can put it in there.
Exactly.
Check the alarm, check the smoke alarm, and see how they go. Not because you can obviously have the battery operated type. But you can have ones that are wired in as well, can't you?
Yeah, mains linked with battery backup. Tends to be what a lot of HMOs do, but depending on the local authority, would depend whether or not they specify a full fire alarm panel. So it really depends. But again, even with the mains linked, the batteries may last a couple of years, 3 years.
Yeah.
You certainly need to have them tested and maybe cleaned once a year just to make sure that they're functioning and they work.
Just picking up what you were saying there, because we spoke about it on that. I didn't realise that different authorities have different regulations as well. There's a general regulation what you should have, but different authorities will ask for different things.
Correct, yeah. It depends where you are. It's sort of, there's a general, what we call a sort of standard that they all do, which is called LACOs, which is like a local authority thing with the fire brigade, and they state what they would like to have in HMOs and various other things. But then you might get some others deciding, that's good, but we want a bit extra. Yeah. And it's just maybe something's happened in the past in those places that makes them think, well, we'd rather do belt and braces, so we're going to ask for this. Yeah. So it really depends. Like years ago, you used to have, if you went into Manchester City Council would not let you put a sort of a emergency lighting self-contained units in. You had to have a central battery, and you had to put it on what they call the 4-pole switch, which means before you can put your beer pumps on, you have to switch the emergency lighting on. Right, because what happened maybe in the, I think, 50s or 60s. So that's an example. So that means it had to have a central battery unit with maybe 10, 25-year cells in. And that was all licensed premises had to do that. So, it may have changed a bit since then, because I haven't done one there for a while. But
it's an example.
It's an example of what happens. But maybe you just go into Liverpool and you can whack self-contained units in. And so, it depends, really. Yeah,
it can be confusing, but it's doesn't have to be confusing. There's some things that people do themselves, but obviously people like yourself know what you're doing day in, day out. So my money is just get someone else in that knows what they're blooming doing and get it sorted.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I give my accounts to somebody for a reason, because I don't want to do them and I'm not brilliant at doing them. So we all do things that you got to realise, I'm not good at this. I need somebody else to do that for me. So that's what I do. And you do it with outsource it with various other things, don't you? It's the same principle. Just make sure that wherever you work, or whatever place you own is safe.
So you offer a range of services. Obviously, you go in and you assess and you do the fire extinguishers, the alarms, and all that sort of, and recommend what they need. No more than what they need, which is great. But you also run occasionally fire safety courses as well, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, basically do fire training courses, and what I'm hoping to set up later in the year again is we did one, well, it's about 18 months ago, I think, isn't it? Near enough. For small business owners. So you might only be 2 or 3 people and you just want one person to go to that, just to be covered on the use of extinguishers, because it generally is part of your fire risk assessment and requirements. And come along, we'll do the theory of fire and all the rest of the stuff, and then get to play with fire extinguishers at the end and set them off in a live fire situation.
It's good fun. People have done it.
So
I've been on Alan's course. It's brilliant.
You put fires out, you use all the different types of extinguishers, and at the end of the day, when that's all done, we send you a certificate to say you are competent in the use of fire extinguishers. Again, it's just in case you have to use them. Hopefully you won't have to, but at least you'll know. You won't panic saying, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. So it's just things like that generally.
Yeah, because the last thing you want to be doing is the first time you've actually picked a fire extinguisher up and then look at it and go, right, I've got this, what do I do now? You don't want to be trying working that out in that situation, do you?
What do we do? Do you just throw it at the fire or what? Yeah, so it's things like that really. So yeah.
It's worth doing. Different types of fire, because I think that's a confusion for people. They used to all be different colours as for one reason, didn't they? Fire extinguishers, did
I think it was early 90s it changed to at one time you'd have an all red one would be water, blue one would be dry powder, like a beige colour would be foam, and a black would be CO2. All they do now is put I think it's about 20% percentage size label on all the extinguishers. So red, and so black CO2, red would still be water, beige foam, blue dry powder. Same principle, but they're generally all red now. And then you use those in various. The basic, most popular ones are either water based and foam for your A rating, CO2. Dry powder tends to be more if you've got processes where you might be using fuels, so garage forecourts, various other things, or chemicals that are a bit thingy. And then you can get even further into specialist ones after that. And if necessary, if you're on a big site, you can buy a big 50-litre trolley or 50 kg trolley extinguisher.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I used to do quite a few of those for various companies, and they'll refill them because when they have a fire, they have a fire. They need to squirt a lot of stuff on it. So, but that's more in bigger industries and big sites that tend to occasionally do them. But they're the most used ones, and it's just a matter of looking to see which one of those you need, how many, and make sure they're maintained. Yeah,
and people probably think, well, why have we got all these different fire extinguishers, different things? But if you think about it logically, if you've got a water-based fire extinguisher and you start spraying it on your computers, as an example, or your mixers like we've got in the studio, you're gonna completely ruin it, aren't you? Yeah,
correct,
you're gonna completely, and then electricity and water don't really like each other, do they either?
No, they don't. I mean, daft as it might seem, there are extinguishers now which they call hydromist, and throw out a very fine spray that you can supposedly use on electrical equipment. Now, personally, I'm not going to do that myself.
Yeah.
So I tend to stick to that. So while you have different sizes, it's the risk. So
and you could use dry powder, and you think, oh, that's dry, but then you're going to get the powder all inside your components, aren't you? So
it's going to be knackered anyway.
It's going to be.
And you'll be coughing and spine. And unfortunately, one of the side effects of swallowing dry powder is a trip to the loo quite a few times.
Oh, is it? Is it a laxative?
It can, Yes, it can be a laxative.
It's full of Epsom salts. Oh, yeah, I never thought about that. I didn't realise that.
It can do that for you as well,
Because you can get really sophisticated and then have halon gas and stuff like that in computers.
No, halon now has been banned. It's been banned for a number of years.
Oh, right, okay. I didn't know that, you see.
I think there's a few selected areas they still use it.
Do you like in a computer? Because you have them in like computer rooms.
Oh, halon, you can. Yeah, you can get all types of what they call, the gases that fill computer rooms. Yeah, but don't be around when they go off.
Because you'd be in a bit of a mess, won't you?
Well, I don't think you'd be coming out alive. But there's still, you tend to use those, and those tend to, I think stuff like they call it FM200, tends to, basically it just lets some jets off into the computer room, kills it all. Yeah. And then sort of you have to wait for the place to clear. But there's quite a few different forms. You might get them in kitchens of the tanks of things, and they'll just automatically squirt on a commercial kitchen to put the fire out. Cool. So there's all kinds of stuff to do.
Because you had, like, obviously, we're talking about, you do a lot of small, medium businesses.
Yes,
but like some of the big warehouses I used to work in with sprinkler systems and things like that, that go off, and they're controlled by, does it burn the the sprinkler has like a bulb on it or something.
That's correct. Yeah,
that
yeah.
Gets hot and smashes.
That's the idea, and then sprays them. But yeah, I must admit, over the years I've done quite a lot of those as well, and it's usually linked to the fire alarm or to something else to get the pumps in. So if a fire goes off, you might get the sprinklers going off, depending which way, either or. So yeah, I've done quite a few sort of sites like that over the years.
Yeah,
and they keep you busy then.
Yeah, and I think fire safety is obviously people roll their eyes and we've got to do a fire drill today, and fire alarms are going off. I mean, it's people don't always get on board with it, do they? And think it's
they don't.
Think it's a bit of a like signing a fire rate when you go into a building and sign in that sort of stuff as well, isn't it?
It's there for a reason. The reason is to make sure that if there is a fire, if you're on site, they'll look for you. If you're not, they don't have to worry about you, and that's the whole point of it.
And I thought what was really good, we obviously go networking, and we did a networking group the other week. People have to sign in to say that they're there, because obviously we need that from the business point of view. But the great thing was, and it was really good to see the room turn round. The fire alarms went off, didn't it? It was a false alarm, but 60% of the room went, "Where's Alan? What do we do?" But I've obviously got a bit of experience, so straight away,
you know what to do anyway.
I grabbed hold of the checking-in book, and we took it downstairs. Thought it was a bit bizarre where they got us to assemble, but that's another matter.
Yeah, well, I thought it was a bit strange because he said, "Oh, I know what it is. Just wait here." And I'm thinking, no, perhaps not. We should have went outside.
Left us in the bar, didn't they? Because you want to be away from the building.
Okay, don't you? If you knew what it was, but even so, I'm not sure. It might have not been what he thought it was. So ideally, we should have been outside.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit wrong because people need to get away from it, and you're better off standing outside in the cold and the rain for 10-15 minutes than be stuck inside and then you realise where you've assembled to, actually the entrance hall's on fire and somewhere else is on fire. We'd have been stuck, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah. That's this is it. It's also, if you go to somewhere new, is try and, when you're walking through, familiarise yourself with, there's an exit over there, there's another one over there, and it must really never ever happen, but because what I do, I still do it, and I'll think, where's the escape routes?
Well, you will, because you're looking for it, and most people aren't looking for it because they're actually going round in their own little bubble and don't realise the implications, but because you're training it, you know a bit. And it leads us on to a good point. When you get into your own home, people just think it's their haven, it's safe. Well, we're not going to have a fire. That's what happens at work. But we've got a lot of things in our homes that can potentially cause fire, haven't we? Yeah. Anything.
So the bottom line is that, for instance, if there's a fire and your detector goes off downstairs and you know that you're not going to get out through the ground floor, do you know what you're going to do? Do you know what your escape route is from upstairs? So basically, have a think about, right, we'll do this. We'll go through that window onto a flat roof, or we can do this. And just make sure everybody in the house knows where they are, and keep a set of keys somewhere so people, maybe if it's a window lock or and it's like that, and maybe keep a torch by the side of your bed. It's just basic, straightforward things like that. Knowing what everybody needs to do, and which escape route's going to take you out of your own house. Yeah,
I mean, you don't actually have to go, right, guys, we're doing a fire drill today. Let's all climb out the back bedroom window. We've got a rope ladder there. Let's see how quick we can get out. But at least if there's a few of you in the house, and I know where our best route out of the house is, onto a lower roof and everything. So that's the safest route, providing we can get through that room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But people might not be aware of that, and as if you're on I know people in the past and years ago thought, why is he doing that? There was no low roof on the house, so he actually had fitted like a rope ladder underneath his bedroom window.
Yeah.
So if there's any issue, he just threw the rope ladder out, which attached to the wall, and then they climbed out.
Yeah, well, things like that are still available. You can get them. You can get escape windows, ladders to go through out of the window.
I mean, people probably think about that, but that's a great idea. I suppose you could always have it in some sort of package so it doesn't look like...
Well, sometimes you can put them on inside the window, and they're in a box, and you just open it and throw it out.
Well, that's a good...
Or released. And there's all types of them about, but only once or twice I've had to use something like that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but that once or twice might have saved your life.
Yeah, I think it was some offices in Blackpool.
Yeah.
Suspecting and needed to have the back escape window was on the first floor.
Yeah.
To go out that way. In case the only other exit was the main staircase.
Yeah.
So it does happen. Not very often.
and that's why when you've got things, and we talk about Grenfell Town and things like that. That's why you've got in some buildings, in buildings, you need your fire escape route needs to be, that's why they're behind doors and locked off. And
Fire doors. The idea is then to keep the building compartmentalised. So if the fire's in one area, the door's shut. And the idea of a fire door is it's either rated for 30 minutes or an hour, and the strips basically close, shut the door. The heat on one side will melt them and seal the locked door.
Oh, that's how it works?
That's how it works. It actually seals the door.
Right, okay.
So the fire won't spread, and that ideally should give you enough time for everybody to get out the building.
Yeah.
So that's why they do it. So it's only small blocks. And I think sort of things like that tend to be in place, and also make sure that escape route is well lit. So you made emergency lighting, clear signage, just various things like that as part of making you safe in a workplace, basically.
Yeah.
Some people think, it's a bit complicated. Yeah, I suppose it is to other people, but I see other people's processes and they think, blimey, how's he doing that?
Yeah.
But because they know what they're doing, to them this is what you do and this is how you get it done.
Give the job to someone who knows what they're doing,
exactly,
rather than you trying to. And
Yeah.
we said this on the radio before. It's a bit like cars nowadays. Modern cars, they become that complex. But I can do certain things myself. I can change the bulbs, or I can do my tyres, or I can do my oil and my water. When it gets past that, then actually I'm going, hang on a minute, this could be a bit dodgy. Or my brakes, I wouldn't even attempt to do brakes.
No, I wouldn't.
You know what I mean?
No.
No, because that's the thing that's going to stop me.
Yeah, no, it's weird, isn't it? It's a similar thing, if a light comes on your car, I think, well, better take it to the garage, because I'm not going to fiddle around with this, because it's changed an awful lot than it used to be years ago.
Yeah. So I think the whole thing from the interview and the podcast is basically have a look at what you're doing, try and get some basic things in place, like lights in, and like what your light should be, and do a bit of a risk assessment. But my advice is get someone in like you that knows what they're doing.
Well, yeah, ideally, if you're not sure what you do need and what's required, it's quite easy, because I'll quite happily come along and for free and tell you what you need. And if you want to do something with me and you want me to help you out, not a problem. It's just get some advice. Make sure, because it's your business, it's your livelihood you're protecting.
Yeah, and the thing is, and I've spoke about this before in the past, that I'm coming on your fire safety day that got me to it, which was good. That I never realised that the high proportion of businesses that have a fire never recover from the fire, do they? Never recover.
No. It's hard to recover from losing a premises, all your records. Where do you go from there? How do you recover
all your stock and everything?
Yeah, okay, you might have some stuff off. Yeah, exactly. You might have stuff saved on the cloud. You can get some customer records. But what's the first thing you're going to do is you're going to try and set something up. And that could take a couple of weeks to say to everybody, unfortunately, we've had a fire. We won't be able to do this. So they're going to look to go somewhere else.
Yeah, because people don't hang around.
Because they can't afford to wait for you to say, I'll be back in about 3 months. And I can't wait that long.
Yeah, and they go off and do something else. And if it's a regular customer thing and they go to someone else, and then there's a cost, because insurance is not, even if you cover insurance, it's not instant, is it?
No.
So if your premise burnt down, it's worth £1 million.
And then
you're not going to get
the fire service is going to look to see how that fire started.
Yeah.
And if they turn around and say, you didn't have a fire risk assessment in place, or you didn't do it correctly, then basically there may not be any insurance, because...
Well, insurance want to get out. You need insurance, but they always try and, it's like your car, and you made any mod to your car, or you've done stuff, or whatever, and you have an accident. Oh, sorry, you've...
you broke you didn't do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
We're not going to pay off.
Yeah, so that's...
So it's... I know it sounds a bit sort of frightening to think this, but the thing is, you're protecting your livelihood, what you do, because if you lose it, what's the record? You might have put your house into flipping remortgage to do this business, and what are you going to do?
Yeah, correct. I mean, at the end of the day, you're doing this, and you want to do this because we want people not to fall foul of the law. We don't want people to obviously get injured, and we want people to continue running their amazing businesses that they run. And
exactly, yeah.
So... I think it's been a good little interview and a good insight into what you do, Alan. And
I think so. Yeah, like I say, it's like everything else. We all talk about, I need to do this, and then I'll get around. You never get around to it. The thing is, at the end of the day, is try and think about what you do, where you do it, what would happen if I lose it.
Yeah, correct. Okay. Well, I think that we've covered virtually everything now. And
I think so.
I think it was a good, lots of information and not too technical for people to understand what it is.
No, because that's when people switch off.
They do. So, once again, where can people get hold of you, Alan?
Okay, well, my website is www.asafiresafety.co.uk, or you can get me on Alan at asafiresafety.co.uk.
Yeah, and
at any time.
I suggest you do. And what I picked up on, I don't know if you did, he'll come round for free. Well, he's not going to go up to Scotland for free, obviously. He's not going to do that.
No, but the thing is, if you want me to have a look and give you some ideas of what needs to be done, and even if you have got a fire risk assessment, let's just check to make sure, everything's in place.
If in doubt, ask Alan, see what he can do for you. So thanks once again for joining us today, Alan. It's been wonderful to have you on the Duggystone podcast and radio show.
Yay!
And we'll speak to you soon.
No, I've enjoyed it. Thanks, Kate.
Take care. Yeah, hope you enjoyed that, people. Go and check out ASA Fire Safety. This show has been sponsored by ASA Fire Safety as well. So thanks for that, Alan. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the fire extinguisher as well. And you've been listening to me, Kurt Pigstone, on
The Duggystone Show.
Oh yeah.
The Duggystone Show.
If you listen on a podcast, please subscribe, please rate us, and share it with people. You can also go over to duggystone.radio.com and listen live to the station, see what's going on. We've got a great website. We promote unsigned artists and businesses. So until next time, see ya!